In the last few years, we have all seen inflation skyrocket and run rampant. Now, it has become apparent to many people that the problem can be sourced from the government printing and spending too much money to try to solve random problems. Now, today I've got a video to show you guys. It's from Milton Friedman giving a talk, and he's an economist who unfortunately passed away in 2006, but he was really good at giving fiscal and monetary talks to the people and really just describing complicated topics such as inflation and making it really easy for people to understand the problem and kind of like the root of the problem in the first place. Milton, he's a former or is a Nobel Prize winner, and I think you guys will really enjoy what he has to say. And in the video here, he actually goes in depth on kind of pointing out how the problem of inflation is caused in the first place. I think many people think it is directly tied to the government. However, if you listen to his words very closely, you'll see that the problem might actually be sourced with the people themselves in terms of their impossible requests to the government in solving their problems, and it just kind of backfiring on the people longer term with inflation. So let's give Milton a little listen here, and I'll give my opinions after we listen. Alrighty, here we go.
Inflation is the most destructive disease known to modern societies. There is nothing which will destroy a society so thoroughly and so fully as letting inflation run riot. Inflation doesn't arise because you got consumers who are spendthrift. They've always been spendthrift. It doesn't arise because you've got the businessmen who are greedy. They've always been greedy. Inflation arises because we as citizens have been asking you as politicians to perform an impossible task. We've been asking you to spend somebody else's money on us, but not to spend our money on anybody else. Everybody talks against inflation, but what he means is that he wants the prices of the things he sells to go up and the prices of the things he buys to go down. The real tax on the American people is not what you label taxes. It's total spending. If Congress spends $50 billion more than it takes in, if government spends $50 billion, who do you suppose pays that $50 billion?
Of course.
The Arab sheiks aren't paying it. Santa Claus isn't paying it. The Tooth Fairy isn't paying it. You and I, as taxpayers, are paying it indirectly through hidden taxation.
Now, I hope you guys really enjoyed that. I think Milton had some really great points here. And I think at the end of the day, he's trying to say that the government and the people are asking each other to perform too much, right? If you caught that, we the people are asking the government to solve our problems with other people's money. And in order for the government to do that, ultimately, we're not bringing in enough tax revenue to solve all those problems. There's actually a key moment in here that I'd like to re-listen to, which is that impossible tasks portion.
Businessmen who are greedy, they've always been greedy. Inflation arises because we as citizens have been asking you as politicians to perform an impossible task. We've been asking...
Right there. So we as the citizens are asking or requesting the government to perform impossible tasks. What might that be? That could be social spending. That could be random things, Social Security, Medicare, humongous budget items that the people are now requesting of the government, which are now in excess of $2 or $3 trillion in total. So when Milton describes the government having to print in excess $50 billion to solve a problem, that the government isn't taking in that $50 billion in terms of tax. Instead, we have to print the money to solve the problem. That really bites the people back in the butt, and it creates a bigger and bigger problem. And it goes to show how a society that strives for equality before freedom winds up with neither. And that's one of his quotes, by the way, that he used to say quite often, where when you try to solve your problem with other people's money, it really doesn't add up long term because it just isn't sustainable, and there's always going to be a problem there. I mean, if you own assets at the end of the day, you'll probably root for inflation and government spending because, like Milton says, you want to sell at a higher price, right? And buy at a lower price. When you own assets, you're going to be someone who roots for government spending. For example, over the last few years, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Industrial Average have all hit record highs almost day after day, it feels like at this point. And for the people who do not own those assets, they feel left out, and the prices of everything becomes more and more unaffordable. So when the government prints excess money to try to solve all these problems, whether it be Medicare, Social Security, schools, whatever it is, it forces the government to spend money because in today, we're not bringing in enough tax revenue to really take care of these enormous multi-trillion-dollar requests that the people are asking of for the government. And rich people or very large powers in the United States and throughout the world and other nations are completely fine with inflation and money printing because at the end of the day, it really just boosts asset prices. And I think that the little guy, the average person doesn't know these topics. And at the end of the day, they're just trying to be able to afford bread, pay the mortgage, the rent, whatever it is. And they're being fooled into a big lie, and they're the ones paying the price for the inflation at the end of the day. And that's really Milton Friedman's message where, hey, the little guy's making the request to the government to make things more affordable, for example. But in the end, it really just causes the prices of all the goods and services that the average man or woman might be purchasing on a day-to-day basis, while that excess spending and money ultimately lands in the pockets of corporations and higher stock prices, which is fantastic if you already own those investments, but the little guy will always be left out. And what's unfortunate is, I mean, if you look at the demographics, people who vote or just how people think of the economy and requests that they make to the government, they're oblivious to how their requests and the way that they vote really impact the prices and their lifestyle at the end of the day. The more requests that the poor person makes to the government to try to fix their life, the worse that the poor person's life will get because the government's going to try to solve their problem by spending the money. But at the end of the day, spending that money trying to solve the problem just makes the problem worse with higher inflation. And that's really what most people do not understand and get. And it just leads the problem to get worse and worse over time for the average person and really widens the wealth gap over time. Because as you print more money, asset prices go up more and more. They go up faster and faster as you print money faster and faster. And that really widens the wealth gap because asset prices rise much faster than wages do for the poor little guy working his butt off 40, 50, 60 hours a week. So I think Milton is just trying to make it clear and easy for us to understand in this talk here. But I wish more people understood the concepts and how his mind works. And it's really it's a bummer that this stuff isn't taught in school at a young age to folks, because information like this would really help people out. But anyways, I just wanted to bring this all to your guys' attention. Be sure to share this video with a friend or family member who you think might enjoy it, listening to Milton and my opinions on it all, because I think it's really important. It just comes down to understanding how your request to the government really affects the average person at the end of the day. Thank you all so much. Be sure to like and subscribe. I would super duper appreciate it. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.